Picture this: you walk into a room full of people, smile warmly, and try to connect. Yet somehow people turn away, conversations stay shallow, and you feel invisible. However, the problem isn't your personality. It's 4 subtle habits that poison your presence like venom. Habits that 90% of people have without even knowing it. These habits are so deeply ingrained in our behavior that we consider them normal. Worse yet, we actually think they make us more likable. But the reality is shockingly different. In this video, I'm going to reveal the 4 hidden habits that are unconsciously making you less likable. These insights are based on decades of psychological research and have already helped thousands of people transform their social relationships. You'll discover why your well-intentioned politeness actually repels people, which psychological mechanism makes others avoid you, the 4 specific behaviors you can change immediately, and the exact steps to become genuinely magnetic in social situations. But here's the warning: what I'm about to show you will forever change how you see human relationships. Most people never recognize these patterns, and that's why they remain trapped in superficial connections their entire lives. The truth is, we've been conditioned to believe that being nice and agreeable is the path to being liked. But psychology tells us a completely different story. The most charismatic people in the world, the ones everyone gravitates toward, they break these rules consistently. The first hidden habit is what psychologists call pseudo-humility. This is when you say, "Oh, I'm really bad at this," but secretly hope for contradiction. Here's the problem: real humility is magnetic. Fake humility is manipulative, and people sense the difference instantly. Let me paint you a picture. Imagine someone shows you their artwork and says, "This turned out really terrible." The first time you might think, "No, it's beautiful." But by the 3rd or 4th time, you realize this person is fishing for compliments. The psychology behind this is brutally simple. Pseudo-humility is a hidden attempt to get attention and validation. But instead of appearing likable, you're sending the signal, "I constantly need your approval." Research from the University of Pennsylvania shows that people who engage in false modesty are perceived as less competent and less trustworthy. Why? Because our brains are wired to detect incongruence between what someone says and what they actually believe. Here's what's really happening in people's minds when you use pseudo-humility. First interaction, they seem modest, that's nice. Second interaction, wait, are they fishing for compliments? Third interaction, this person is exhausting to be around. Here's what makes this even more insidious. We learn pseudo-humility in childhood. We're taught that bragging is bad, so we swing to the opposite extreme. But there's a crucial difference between humility and self-deprecation. True humility says, "I did my best on this project." Pseudo-humility says, "This project is probably terrible." But one invites genuine conversation. The other demands emotional labor from everyone around you. The second habit is even more dangerous: excessive agreeableness. So you always say yes, agree with everything, and seemingly never have your own opinion. What you think? I'm helpful and peaceful. What others think? This person has no personality. Here's the harsh truth: people don't respect doormats, they respect people with backbone. A Harvard Business School study shows something fascinating. People who occasionally disagree are perceived as more competent and trustworthy than those who always agree. But why would disagreement make you more likable? The answer lies in what psychologists call authentic signaling. When you always agree, you send 2 devastating messages: "I have no thoughts of my own," and "I'm not being honest with you." Let me give you a real-world example of how this plays out. Sarah always agrees with everyone at work meetings. She never pushes back, never offers alternative perspectives. What happens? When promotion time comes, she's overlooked. Why? Because agreeable people are seen as followers, not leaders. The paradox is this: people respect you more when you occasionally disagree with them, because it shows you have your own mind and the courage to use it. The third habit is the opposite of conformity: desperate uniqueness. This is when you say, "I'm not like other people," or constantly emphasize how different and special you are. The problem? Real uniqueness speaks for itself. If you constantly have to advertise it, it's not genuine. Let me give you a perfect example. Someone says, "I read books while others just watch Netflix. I'm more intellectual." What do you really hear? Arrogance masked as sophistication, insecurity disguised as superiority. The fourth and most dangerous habit, the perfectionism facade. You only show your best side, hide all weaknesses, and pretend you have your life completely together. Here's the paradox. People are drawn to imperfect people, not perfect ones. Why? Because perfection creates distance. When you never show weakness, others can't build genuine connection with you. There's a concept in psychology called the pratfall effect, discovered by Elliot Aronson in 1966. The study showed that when a highly competent person makes a small mistake, like spilling coffee, they become more likable, not less, because that tiny flaw makes them human, relatable, real. But when someone appears perfect all the time, our brains can't connect with them. They seem like a facade, not a person. These four habits have one thing in common. They stem from insecurity and the desperate desire to be liked. But they achieve the opposite because they violate fundamental principles of human psychology. The real irony, the more you try to be liked, the less attractive you become. And the more authentic you are, the more magnetic you become. These four habits are just the tip of the iceberg. There are much deeper psychological patterns that determine whether people respect you or ignore you. Patterns that can make the difference between a life of meaningful connections and a life of loneliness. If you're ready to take your social skills to the next level and understand how to build genuine, deep connections that last, then you're in the right place. On this channel, I dive deep into the psychology behind human behavior, the hidden mechanisms that control how we think, feel, and connect with others. I share the psychological secrets that separate people who struggle socially from those who effortlessly attract others. Real insights backed by science, not just feel-good advice that doesn't work. So if you want to master the psychology of influence, build unshakable confidence, and create relationships that actually matter, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. And here's my challenge for you. Pick one of these four habits that resonated most with you and commit to changing it over the next week. Then come back and let me know in the comments how it went. I read every single comment and love hearing about your transformations. Watch the video I'm showing you right now to continue your transformation. Until the next video, remember the goal isn't to be perfect, the goal is to be real, stay authentic.